And hello and welcome everyone. I haven't done a live for some time now for Working Class Australia, and I think it'd be good now to actually have a discussion or response to the latest China and New Zealand bashing. Interesting enough, bashing episode that was actually conducted by 60 Minutes last Sunday night. I've actually put the link in the description below. If you want to have a view yourself, feel free to watch it and make up your own mind. But I think we've just got to have a look what's really going on here. I mean, basically, it's first of all, it's an attack on a country that wishes to develop its own independent foreign policy. It's not going to be dictated to by Washington or even by Canberra or by London to develop its own trade policies either with any other country they wish to trade with. Now, the fact is, Australia in all this belt, the position is to bully our nearest neighbour and our closest ally for many, many years. The relations between New Zealand and Australia have always been strong for many years. But remember, New Zealand is an independent country that, once again, will develop its own policies for its own foreign vested interest. It's not going to be up to Australia for us to decide. Obviously, this week there was a summit meeting between the Prime Ministers of both Australia and New Zealand, and to discuss this as well. But 60 Minutes pathetic attempt to attack the New Zealand government, and I will actually use the term pathetic. It was actually, it could say it was a bit more than laughable. But however, where the seriousness is this whole idea of this continual China bashing and then bashing New Zealand over the head. It's only because basically what's coming here is trying to gear us up for a war against China, a war that we will lose anyway. I think actually Mike Hosking, I'm led to believe he's a radio presenter in Auckland, New Zealand, correctly pointed out the fact is if you want to take on China like what we're trying to do, well, we're the ones that are going to be losing big time. And he did correctly describe China's that big, New Zealand's that big. And if you look at the comparative scale, all they want to do is, we said to China, would you like to buy more milk or would you like to buy more wine? And obviously said yes and develop a trade deal from there. But unfortunately, our government has had its orders from Washington and obviously to be on the attack. We've lost out big time now, not aside our coal exports, although we all understand coal's on the way out anyway. But many other industries, our wine, our grains, our various other food products as well, such as dairy. But now iron ore is now up on the table to look at. And if China is looking to develop iron ore imports from other countries, that will actually make us a lot further worse off. Now, for those of you who are wondering as well, what is this an attempt to actually completely leave China blameless? No, not correctly. And I mean, look, China has lifted its its population out of poverty and alleviated any type of extreme poverty as well. And they're doing some great things and forward to advancing their population and building their country. And I'd actually like to quote Comrade Nate from Sydney. He put an excellent post up on Facebook, and he actually, for us here in Australia, I think there's got to be a few things we need to look at here. You know, those who wish to boycott Made in China are absolutely right about one thing, though. The Australian government should spend more money on local manufacturing. These people feel that China has monopolised the international manufacturing industry and it has resulted in widespread loss of jobs, communities and livelihoods. But whose fault is it? Let us never forget that it was the combined efforts of both the Australian Labor Party and the Liberal National parties that destroyed manufacturing jobs here and result in our reliance on China in the first place. The US has further damaged our ability to manufacture things by coercing the Australian government to maintain an anti-China stance and push for war, which has forced China to look elsewhere for products like wine, barley and coal. China didn't come and snatch our manufacturing away, and I'd like to emphasise this big time. China did not come and snatch our manufacturing industry away from us forcefully. It was given to them by our country's respective governments and similar governments around the world who were looking out for the interests of their corporate elites so they could save on production costs. China has done the smart thing and used that foreign investment to build up their country and for the good of its people and lifting them out of poverty. There's no economic or logical reason why we shouldn't be able to do that here and manufacture things to sell to China and the rest of the world. For far too long, We've given billions of taxpayers' dollars annually to the foreign owning mining and gas industries, only for these corporations to take the profits back to the US, India, or the UK, and Japan to a certain degree as well. It's time to divert those subsidies to a new, rejuvenated national manufacturing sector. We have the sources, we have the brains, and we have the money. The government could easily subsidise the higher wages of these new workers, because the tax and export revenue will be more than make up for it. A boycott is not good enough. Let's demand that Aussie tax dollars fund Aussie industries and jobs, and let's increase our country's independence from foreign influence. So it's vitally important. If we are going to develop, we should be actually able to stand on our own 2 feet without actually having to dependent on every other foreign influence in this country. But I think there's a whole continual China bashing and now bashing New Zealand for taking their own stand in the world. And obviously, well, this, as I said, is going to lead us down to economic depression for us, because it's all us working class people, poor people, and our allies are going to be the ones that are going to be suffering from this. The very elite, the corporate elites, whatever you want to call them, the bourgeoisie, the capitalists, they're never going to be suffering from it, because they're going to make money out of anything from war to any type of crisis whatsoever, similar to what's happening with COVID-19 now, where the big pharmaceuticals making huge profits out of this. And I think we need to get back to it and look what's really going on here. In fact, it's our federal government, and actually both parties in the federal parliament, just playing into the hands of, once again, being dictated to and playing into the hands of Washington, the Pentagon, Wall Street, London, and obviously, Tokyo and Japan as well, to a certain degree. It's not there for our own benefit and our own security. It's not there to benefit, to lift us out of poverty, to alleviate any problems we have in this country. So just please be aware about these things when you're watching mainstream media here in Australia. A lot of it's quite pathetic. You may have a good show on something now and then, but most of it I just generally don't have any time for. And look, I highly recommend look for alternate media sources as well, like I would as well, because obviously the mainstream media here is all caught up in the class interests of not just the capitalist class here, but from both Wall Street and London as well. And this is why it's vitally important that we need to have a look at our own selves and develop our own anti-imperialist independent policy as well, to stand our own 2 feet, because we certainly do not need to be at war with anyone. We're not fit for it, and we can actually start looking at developing our own industries again, and looking at rebuilding Australia as well, and constructing a new Australia as well. So through that, what we demand, we should be demanding, is a government of action that will fight for the working people. That is as simple as that. And we had that, then we would be able to move forward in the rest of the world. Trying to form any type of regression towards China or anyone else is certainly not going to achieve that as well. In fact, as I said, Australia will just go completely backward. But I wanted to actually throw that in there. I was asked about that the other day. Someone sent me a message. I put the link in there here below. So have a look at yourself, make up your own mind. Feel free to make a comment on it, or even feel free to do your own video on it as well. It'd be interesting to hear other people's views on it. Just before I close up, though, I just want to let you know tomorrow night, we'll be live streaming with comrade Helen Lee, a very close friend and comrade of mine, and also Joan Montero as well, another friend and comrade, and a few others. And if you're wishing to join, feel free to do so, or otherwise you can watch it via YouTube and Facebook. Just watch it on this channel as well, or on my Facebook page. And please like the link, share it far and wide. And tomorrow we'll be reading out of this We Are City Builders from Caleb Morpin, for the Centre of Political Innovation Educational Manual from Caleb Morpin, and we will be studying the next chapter, Why Socialism, by Albert Einstein. So we're looking forward to seeing you tomorrow night at 7 o'clock Australian Eastern Standard Time. So once again, comrades, I'm going to leave it at that. It's a short video. I haven't been able to do as many. These videos have been actually quite busy, but I thought, while it's a little bit quiet during this lockdown, I thought, look, we'll give me the opportunity to do one of these this week. So once again, thank you for your time. Feel free to share far and wide, and if you need to make contact, just send me a message by Facebook Messenger. I'll leave it at that. The workers of all countries unite. Thank you.